Search is over, now welcome to First Mint. Looking for NFT content, look no further cause this is it. From Top Shot to blockchain, they got the data chops, analysis, and pack drops, the show's equator hot. LG and Phil D, the best amongst others. Best brothers that happen to ball since the Ball brothers. So settle in cause it's time for the best show. Ayo Quad, who we reppin'? First Mint. Let's go.
Whoa! Hey. Okay, right off the bat, good news for everybody who listens to the show. Before we started recording, Phil and I talked for 20 minutes about the Leafs, okay? So that we wouldn't have to subject everybody to like the extreme negativity going on right now in the Toronto sports scene. Phil, this
honestly, is ugly.
Has there ever been a city that has an NHL and NBA team where both coaches have lost their jobs the same season?
Has that ever happened? I'm sure New York. at some point.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, they have a lot of. Yeah, they have a lot of teams.
There's no way,
two,
right?
They have like 2 or 3 of every team, though, so it's kind of unfair.
But yeah, for those who don't know, the Toronto Maple Leafs, who won their first playoff round or series in 19 years, about a week ago, a little over a week ago, and moved on to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, are now down 3-0 and on the verge of getting swept by the number 8 seed Florida Panthers. And the fan base,
a team that made the playoffs by 1 point,
by winning like their last whatever games.
Yeah, exactly. Over like the Penguins and whoever else was there, like made it just barely squeaked into the playoffs. Took down the best team ever, technically, the Boston Bruins, which was shocking, but still it took them 7 games to do it in a massive comeback. Whereas now they haven't lost since. They're up 3-0 on the Leafs. And Phil, unfortunately, last week you predicted the Leafs would be up 3-0. You were right about one part of that. But I don't think you predicted how pitiful the Leafs would be playing. Anyways, we promised we wouldn't get too deep into it, but Phil,
you get too deep into it.
Get your quick thoughts on it. Anything else you want to share that maybe our community needs to know? Anything that's like need to know basis.
The only need to know basis is that they've got 1 game left. Okay, I think in the history of the NHL, LG, only 1 team has ever come back from a deficit of 3-0 and won. 2 teams. It's like the 1942 Leafs and then like the 19 whatever Boston Bruins. I don't know.
No, there's actually 2. No, there's 2. There's it was like in 1942 the Leafs, in like 1976 like the Islanders or something like that. And then it happened twice in the last decade or so. In 2011, I think the Flyers did it to the Bruins, and they came back from 3 games down, and then came back from a 3-0 deficit in Game 7. And then actually the Kings did it to the Sharks in 2013. Sharks, that era of the Sharks, also historically failed to perform team, let's call them. But that was the year the Kings won the Cup as well. So it's actually happened twice kind of recently. Okay. However, if I had to pick any team in the NHL to do it, it's definitely not the Maple Leafs.
All right. Well, here are my only thoughts, because I already gave you my thoughts, and we'll save that for another day, because I'm sure we'll be talking later this week. The next game is Wednesday or Monday today. But I just hope there is 1 more home game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They would have to win Game 4 and avoid the sweep to have the opportunity to come back home. And 90% of Leaf fans, if that happens, will be looking to cheer these guys, obviously, to force a Game 6 and then possibly a Game 7. I'm the complete opposite. I want them to win Game 4 so that they can come back home whenever that may be. I think it's on the weekend. Yeah. Oh, shit. I won't even be here. But anyways, if I'm here, I will pay a great amount of money to buy tickets for that game so I can go there and lead the booing of the team.
Out of them.
Oh, yeah. And at the end of the game, when they lose, I will be the first to launch my jersey right over the glass. I have plenty of them. Okay. I'll pick like an Eric Lindros jersey or something like that. I have some Austin Matthews, but I'll pick like an old school, maybe Brian McKay. Actually, you know what? We have 3 Austin Matthews jerseys in this household. I'll make it a Matthews jersey. We don't need 3 if they're playing like that. If our big money guys are playing the way they're playing, we don't need it. I will throw it over the glass, and I can promise you, you will have a ton of other jerseys that hit the ice. It's always like a cardinal sin. According to announcers, when jerseys are thrown on the ice, they want like those fans put in jail for life. They're like, that's a disgrace. Like, that's disgusting. Well, I'll show you disgusting, right? What the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing to their fan base right now is disgusting. So they deserve it all. It's better than burning. I don't like burning, because you throw your jersey on the ice, they'll still collect it and probably give it to someone who needs it or whatever. They'll do something with it. Burning it is kind of stupid. But I get it. If somebody burns their jersey, I'm also not going to, completely destroy them. But I want to be the one that leads the way. I don't remember if you remember this a couple of years ago, LG, when the team was horrendous before Austin Matthews. Somebody threw waffles on the ice at the players, and it became the biggest thing. The guy went to jail, like he was banned for life. But it kickstarted kind of the turnover of the terrible Leafs teams into a team that at least makes the playoffs. Because then they started doing things the right way. They tanked. They got the #1 pick. They got Austin Matthews. They did all that. But now we're at a stage where we've witnessed so many gutless and spineless and disgusting efforts from this team that they deserve all the hate that they get. And I hope they come back home to feel it. Because if they lose game 4, they're going to come back home. And the way it works here, it's not like in Buffalo. You ever see when the Bills go back to Buffalo, like the fans are on the tarmac and stuff? You can't do that here. You don't even know where they land, when they land. They just
it's a secret.
There's a ton of airports here. Who the hell knows where they ever come in or how they come in, but they do it, right? So I need these players to feel the wrath. Okay, poor players, shut up. I don't want to hear that, okay? You're making a lot of money, and you're playing for a team that has a fan base that has so much pride and so much anger and hurt.
Pain.
I'll leave it at that, man. We'll be talking about this all day.
Phil snapping. Yeah, let's move on because we don't need to. We can talk about it forever.
Can I just give some breaking news then to kind of break the ice here? It's not about the Leafs. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, breaking news from the Dapper Labs side. It just came into my phone as Los was finishing up his great intro to our podcast. Dapper Labs has announced that starting right now for a limited time, there are no credit card fees on any purchases or deposits made with your Dapper wallet. But hold on. I can guarantee you that 90% of people had no idea that had stopped from the first announcement they made like a few weeks ago or whenever it was. Right? Didn't they just announce this exact thing like a month ago? And then I noticed when I went to buy stuff that it stopped, and I was like, dude, what is this?
They have so many different marketing and growth levers to pull, as our friend Dave used to say, Dave Feldman, and we wish him well. We love Dave, but I'm saying I think he started saying that the most, and then they all started saying it, is that they have a lot of different levers to pull. So credit card fees, they just announced out of nowhere that they're dropping more packs, right? You got the metallic gold packs, you got the legendary packs. There's legendary rookies coming, all from a season that ended a month ago, Phil. And what a time to be alive on Top Shot. And guess what? You can do all your shopping with no credit card fees. Thrilling. That's thrilling. What a thrilling time. Do you want to pay $500 for the chance to get what do we have here? What do we have in this legendary drop? Ooh, a James Harden.
Don't forget
legendary.
The app packs.
Wouldn't you
app packs, right?
Phil, how badly do you want to pay $500? I'm just going to find the worst legendary. Oh, Jarrett Allen. I feel like Jarrett Allen is always the worst player that there is in not that he's bad. He's not bad, but it's like nobody wants that. Nobody wants a Jarrett Allen. Like there's not a single person out there.
Why would he have a legendary? I've never understood this.
Zero reason for him to have. Brooke Lopez. Brooke Lopez is up there with him. Again, Brooke, great player, key player on a very good team.
Not legendary. Come on.
Nobody needs that.
Seriously.
Well, we can't. We're gonna be all over the place here. While we're talking hockey, Phil, we're gonna come back around to Top Shot, talk about whether it's dead or not for the 200th week in a row as to whether Top Shot is dead or not. We're gonna come back around to that, but I do have a statistic I wanted to share with you as a very good transition from hockey to basketball. Okay, and I've been preparing this all day.
Yes.
All right. So it's because then we're gonna talk basketball playoffs. There's a lot of things to say, and then we'll talk about redemptions. We'll talk about Top Shot. We'll do everything else, the whole dance. The Leafs have 4-star players, right? That is called the core 4. 3 of them are being paid $10 million a year. Okay. These are the highly skilled forwards. Not a single one of them has a goal in this series, in these 3 games against the Panthers. Yesterday, the 4 of them combined for I think 3 shots on net, which is, for anybody who doesn't watch hockey, that's horrific. Alexander Ovechkin shoots 15 times a game or something like that. It's not that hard to get a shot on net in hockey. You can whip it from center ice if you're really desperate. Yeah, it's like you have a lot of time to get it, to even put it, even as a bad shot, you can still shoot on it. So
let alone against a terrible team too, a terrible defensive team who've been terrible all
who
year.
Relies on their goalies, so normal to shoot. But the 4 of them combined for fewer shots on net than Terrence Ross had shots in his game against the Nuggets. Terrence Ross, a former Toronto Raptor, who had 7 shots both yesterday and in game 3, had 5 points in game 3, 8 points in game 4, and has played 14 and 17 minutes respectively in those games. And before that, having tallied only garbage time minutes in the playoffs. And Phil, the Suns have won twice in a row. So despite, listen, KD and Booker are playing well, but they got our man, Terrence Ross, former Raptor. I think his handle on Twitter is still T.Flight because he loved playing in Toronto. The difference maker veteran potentially for the Phoenix Suns right now as they are coming back into this series. Phil, did you watch any basketball? Or you're just,
I did.
No, I did. Okay, you did. Okay.
We did.
Okay, I don't know. I think you're watching a lot of hockey. You're very upset.
Yeah.
It's
But
it's
I was
different.
upset
Second round
because,
hits different.
Saturday night was a good setup. I was out of town and I was in a hotel room and I was, I didn't go out or anything. We decided to just chill for the night. I had a really long day, ordered in some food, watched the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights game, 7 p.m. Eastern. Great hockey night in Canada. Awesome. I don't care who's playing. I'll watch a playoff game like that. There was even some UFC stuff going on in that game for those who watched it. And then right after was the Lakers and Warriors game. But both games ended up really sucking. Like the Oilers destroyed the Vegas Golden Knights.
Like immediately,
right?
like within 5 minutes, they were up 3-0 or something like
Wasn't
that.
even
like
close.
They crushed them. Yeah.
And then the Lakers just absolutely obliterated the Warriors. And I'm just like, man, what is this? That's disappointing. But it's the reason that it always works like this. When you hype up a series too much, you'll get some bad games. You just do. Unlike the Kings and Warriors series, where people are like, "Yeah, that'll be good. It won't be the best one." Like like they were saying, Knicks. I even said Knicks and Cavs will be great, but that was terrible. But the Kings and Warriors was amazing, right? I did see though, and I really love this, and I watched it about 100 times. I couldn't stop laughing. One of my favorite plays of the playoffs, and I really wanted Top Shot to put it in. Some sort of form was I love the Draymond Green stomping on Sabonis like a roach on the ground. The way I love that analysis. Now, even better was Joel Embiid's absolute curb stomp. Was it Grant Williams? Is that who we got?
Yes,
I can't remember.
Yes,
dude.
Yeah.
I have
like
never
literally
in my life.
American History X style, like literally stomp him in the head.
Oh my God! Like, how did Grant Williams get? Dude, he got curb stomped. Like, I can't.
I don't even know how he's alive after
his
that.
Nose?
Dude, when I saw that, I was like, he's gonna be dead. Like that's a legit. Like Sabonis, like that was pathetic. Sabonis saying he was injured after that. It's You're fine.
It looks like he got
You're
shot.
A giant dude. He just kind of like pushed off of you. Like it's fine. But no. Like Embiid was in the 4 feet in the air and stomped on the back of Grant Williams' head. Like he could have died. Like
one of those two guys on the ground was getting it. It was either Jaylen Brown or Grant Williams. Okay, so it all depended which foot Embiid was coming down on because both feet were in the air and both heads were right there. He could have double.
Why was Embiid in the air? Why was he in the air?
I don't know, man.
What was he doing?
It's one of those like you ever see football linemen that are like flying through the air and they purposely land on a guy because they know that they're 300 pounds going to break all his ribs. It almost looked like to me. I know it wasn't intentional, but it looked kind of weird. And I don't know what NBA game that doesn't start a brawl like that. The NBA
he went over to him and apologized to him right after. So
that's right.
He didn't try and back up that he was like, well, whatever. You shouldn't have been laying down.
He's
there.
Like, are you okay, dude? Like, man, that was
I think that's more what it was. Is that it's like everybody was like really worried. And then even Embiid was like, shit, like if I kill a guy on the court, like,
but he didn't even break in his nose or lose any.
No,
teeth.
but what I'm saying, like the Draymond thing was like way more blatant, and it's also like Sabonis tied up his leg, and that was like a huge, that was more of like a goon play on both of their parts. Right. Whereas this was like Embiid's flopping all over the place, and then he just like flopped one too many times, and I don't think he has any ill intention. Like
it was
like,
so good.
I think he's a clown, but I don't think Embiid would ever want to hurt anybody. It's different. No, it's different than it's different than the Kelly Olynyk's of the world who purposely rip people's arms out of their sockets. Like if anybody remembers that against Kevin Love.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's different. I don't like Embiid. I think he's a big goon, but I don't think he intentionally wants to hurt anybody like some other players. So
I mean,
whatever.
And I told you this before the NBA playoffs. There is never a shortage of these kinds of moments. Okay. No matter what. And then last night, sure enough, we were not going to be spared last night. Jokic gets into a shoving match with the Phoenix Suns owner. and launches an elbow. I thought it was an elbow. Not an elbow. It was kind of a shove. But and then after he's like, well, he hit me first or whatever. But I'm like, I mean, he took the ball from you or he held the ball. I don't think he hit you. And Jokic, but that was also a massive flop on the owner's part. Okay, I don't know how he got launched that far. Okay, got pushed a little bit. Guy fell in his chair, got up, fell back in his chair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, as a new owner, is that really what you want to be known for? What, like nobody, because they said to Jokic, do you even know who that was? Because I'm like, I didn't know who that was. I've never seen this clown before, right? And Jokic is like, he was a regular fan. And they're like, no, it's not. He's like, I know, but he's still a regular fan. He's
but
like,
it doesn't matter.
What the hell's he doing?
You're sitting there, you're a normal fan. Yeah. I
did
don't.
They say today? I missed the day in sports. Did they say if he's getting suspended or fined?
I don't think so. Do you think he should?
Well, I mean, if you go back to other, historically, if you touch a fan, you're getting suspended no matter what. And he did extend his arm and hit him. So, to me, I don't know. It depends, because here's another case where it's the call on the field. The call on the field was not to eject that fan or the owner. The referees looked at, they gave Embiid a technical. So what did they give him the technical for? They gave him the technical for making contact with the fan, I assume, or was it the play before?
Jokic, not Embiid.
I'm sorry, I know. I'm so used to Embiid talking about Embiid.
Another giant.
What was the technical for on Jokic? Was it that incident with the fans?
I don't know, actually. I don't know what he got the technical for. I'm assuming so. It's probably like just going in this. Right. I'm assuming it's for like touching a fan. It's probably the refs didn't really know.
So
what
for me, again,
is. Yeah,
refs are always kicking fans out. There is actually a fan that got kicked out in that melee for touching Jokic after the shove.
That's the part that I find is like that's a really tough situation, because listen, like there's no fan that's special when you just have a seat at the game, right? Like I don't think because you're the owner you get to hold the ball, and when the player's like, I'm going to take the ball so we can resume play, that you get to take it away from him. Like I think that's wrong. And like it doesn't matter who you are, and that's where you have the double standard where it's like, any other fan did that, like just some rando, like super fan at the Raptors, and like that person's banned for life from the stadium, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So, but that's a tough situation, because it's like that is literally the only person you can't ban from the stadium, because he owns the team. Like there's literally even his friend, whatever. So I don't know. I think that's kind of like
based on the past LG. I think to me he should be suspended. I don't want him to be suspended, but I think based on what we've seen in the past, any contact you make with a fan, especially that the fan didn't get tossed. If the fan gets tossed, it means the refs saw the fan do something wrong, and they're like, he got shoved back. I saw him hold the ball, but I didn't see him put his hands on Jokic. Jokic kept saying he put his hands on me first. I didn't see that, and obviously the refs didn't see it.
He puts his hand on his back. He puts.
Is that what he did?
Yeah, and one of the TikToks I saw was like he's trying to grab his ass, like is what the person
get
said.
out of here, man. Like,
it's like on his hip. It's kind of like just above his butt.
Okay,
but that's as far as Ishba can reach. Like, as Jokic is giant. So
let me completely derail this for a second. Did you see Jack Harlow's Instagram post?
No, here we go.
He said,
Phil, you said you wanted to keep it short today, and now this is why they go for 4 hours.
But this has something to do with it. So Jack Harlow was sitting courtside at the Knicks playoff game.
Oh, okay, it was at the game. Okay,
and Kyle Lowry fell in his lap. And he said something. What did he say? His junk was soft like a pillow, or something.
Yeah. That is.
What's he referring
Kyle
to? His
Lowry
ass
has
or what?
Big ass. Yeah. So Kyle Lowry is known for having a big, thick butt.
That's soft like a pillow, though. Like, is that the rumor? Like,
I don't know if it's soft like a pillow, but I think he's just talking about the jokes people make about Kyle Lowry having a big butt.
All right. Well,
anyways, to wrap this up, Matt Ishbed, like the owner, he tweeted this morning saying he doesn't want Jokic to be suspended, and he said,
"Of course, he said
it's
that.
Not a big deal."
I know he's
going to say that. Yeah. I mean, it'd be a shame, but at the same time, I don't know. Like Jokic. I don't know what it would mean for the series. I don't think the Nuggets could get it done.
Oh, they're screwed if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're already. I'd say
Suns are better off without CP3. People didn't.
Yeah, that's it.
They're better off without him.
That's it. Like the Suns are playing incredibly well without Chris Paul, and like I'd say the Nuggets are on the rope. Like a lot of people are saying, like, oh, they're going to go back home now. It'll be easier. It's like, yeah, but the pressure's on them now, right? Like the Nuggets were playing with borrowed time, and the Suns were, and they won those 2 games, close games. So I don't know. I'd say like the pressure is entirely on the Nuggets now. And even this is already like a distraction away from them, like getting ready for the next game. KD is looking really, really good. I've been really critical of KD for the last couple of years because of kind of failed to see kind of any like he's been good at flashes during the season, but it's like he's old, he's had injuries. Like, can he be that player? And I think he's kind of showing that he still can be. And then especially having a running mate like Booker, who's like we say, like he's a guy who could just pour on the points. It's like that's looking like a pretty dangerous combo, especially when they don't have to rely on Paul to like handle the ball. Phil, if you had like maybe not right now, but overall, if you were starting a team, would you pick Jamal Murray or Devin Booker to put on your team? Because Booker gets a lot of flack, but Murray is also supposed to be kind of that number 2 guy, although, you know, very different style, but still, like if you had to pick between the two of them, who would you go with?
I wouldn't take either one. Booker annoys the hell out of me. Okay.
Okay.
Jamal
Well, you're doing a draft and there's only 2 guys at the end of the draft. You have to pick one.
I'll still take Jamal Murray. But listen, the Booker lost me when teams were playing with no fans and he was taking clutch free throws at the end of the game against the Raptors. And he had a problem with the Raptors mascot making like too much noise behind the bucket.
You've got beef with both these guys, actually.
I cannot stand that, dude. I can't stand a crybaby like this guy. So just because you missed a free throw. So hold on. When the actual NBA games are on with thousands of fans, the stuff behind the basket is not a distraction. What are you going to do? Take the microphone, tell everyone to stop, you know, or shut up? No, you're not going to do that, right? But he wanted the mascot removed from the arena when there was no one else in the arena. That's really
right. Yeah.
I just don't like him. But the way he's playing right now is obviously on another level, right? Like,
it's on another level.
I don't know what's going on with him. It's like something kicked in after all that criticism, and he's just going bonkers.
Chris Paul's not there. That's why.
I think so. Yeah, I think that has a huge part of that. Just like Embiid, send Embiid back out, man. Seriously, they looked way better without him that one game. And when you let James Harden run the show, they look a lot better. They just do.
Yeah. Like Harden has had trouble getting to the finals, obviously, but he's still a guy who's been in the conference finals, you know, 1 second rounds, a few times at least. Right. So that's that trade for Simmons has proven to be pretty valuable for our old friend, our old ex-podcast guest. What's his name? What's the Sixers GM again? What's his name? Daryl Morey. Anyways, our old friend of the podcast.
That's right.
All right, Phil, let's just do a quick rapid fire to wrap up the playoffs talk. Just tell me the winner of each series. Boston and Philly. Who wins how many games?
I'm going Philly. I think they're going to shock them. I think
Seven?
What they showed at the end.
Or in 6, like just win out from here.
I'll go 7. It won't be that easy. Boston's too good. But the way they closed out that game yesterday was unexpected. That's 2 times now that they've shown that resilience. I'll go Philly.
Lakers,
shout
Warriors.
out to Jay Gooner.
Lakers, Warriors. How many games? Who's the winner?
I say Lakers. Lakers in 6. I'll go. I think something off with this Warriors team, and they showed it again. And LeBron, man, who would have thought this a month ago when we were laughing at them even making the playoffs? But LeBron seems like he's not. Man, did you see that? Did you see that chase down? It wasn't a block. It was like just
saving his.
I can't remember
man.
it. But at both
even
ends
if you
of the
go
court,
back,
this guy's losing his mind, man. He's absolutely losing his mind. What is he? 38 years old? Like, what
if
is
you go back to like mid-January and LeBron got injured and like AD had just come back. And it was like, man, these guys are dead in the water. They're
way back.
They're 14 games under. And then they made that trade, got rid of some of the, you know, weird blood of the Russ and stuff like that.
Nobody else to blame.
Then brought in D'Lo, and it's just like, man, what a turnaround. You know, and AD playing incredibly well, right? And AD again, you know, one wrong step away from being out for a couple of rounds, but still, he's playing. He matters, and you know, when the two of them are playing well, that the Lakers definitely do seem unstoppable. Okay, Suns, Nuggets.
I'm going
Where's
Suns
it go
after
from here?
what I saw. I'm going Suns. Yep. I think Suns is too, man, it's tough. I don't know what's going to happen with Jokic. If he's suspended, it's done. But the Suns still piss me off. So it won't be that easy. I'll say in 7 as well. They'll find a way to win that road game at the end.
I'm not even going to talk about Heat and Knicks.
Dude, like, what's the story there? Like, I did not know the Jimmy Butler story until it ran like a couple days ago. It's a really cool story, man. Like his whole childhood thing, his mom.
Everything. Yeah, everything about Jimmy Butler is pretty awesome.
I had no idea about that.
And the other thing too, actually, I think people kind of forgot about the Heat, and I was talking about this morning in the First Mint Discord, is that Hero might could be back for the next round if they make it. Like he was out broken hand 4 to 6 weeks. It's like this is like week 3 of that. So he could actually be back for conference finals if the Heat make it. And that'd be a huge boost against
right.
whoever you're getting on the other end of that, right?
Is
and
there
again,
any chance that Duncan Robinson can put ballers on his shoes like we were been waiting for Michael Carter Williams? Someone said when that whole Michael Carter Williams, someone said that Michael Carter Williams will never even play in this league again. Someone said that at the time. They were laughing.
It doesn't mean he can't wear ballers on his shoes in China or wherever else he's going to play.
No, he's still in the NBA. He's just never plays, and he's hurt, and he's this and he's that. But Duncan Robinson was apparently
not
ballers. We were on a Spaces with him.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did Spaces with Duncan Robinson and like Ross Gold and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So, and when I say rug, ballers not the rug, the other players only or whatever it was called that Michael Carter Williams was part of. That was a total rug. That was a disaster. They tried to get us. That guy emailed me like 100 times to try and get me to talk about that thing, and I was like, no, this project looks terrible. Like there's no way. And I'm glad I said no. I'm glad my bullshit detector function on that one.
If LG was to put together a wall of the sort of not celebrities, but like half celebrities and celebrities that have contacted him under the First Mint account, I think people would be completely shocked at some of the people that have reached out or even followed the First Mint account, things like that. There is quite the list of people that are super, super random. And just like, what? Why did that person message you?
That guy said there's a person in question that you're talking about, and he said he could make it today, and I completely forgot.
Are you serious? I told you, man. I said,
just checked. He sent me a different message. This is okay. I'm not going to spoil who this guest is. Maybe we can get them on for next week. But it is an actor, not the actor's actual name, not a household name, but a movie that they appeared in 30 years ago is absolutely a household name movie about sports. Okay, and I'm not going to say anything else, but you will definitely know this film that this person is most known for. Never really did much else in a TV film, or at least anything that was as prominent. Let me message him back. We still maybe Phil, we can speed through the rest and get him on for like 10 minutes at the end or something.
That would be wild.
let me message this guy back, because that'd be super, super random if we can get him on. But I know you have a heart out. Okay, so Phil, let's move on. Let's talk about redemptions for Top Shot. My predictions from last week, I picked Embiid, which doubled immediately after they won like game 2 or game 3 or whatever it was. So that's done pretty well. I think he's still sitting around like $20 or something like that. But one thing, and I picked Brunson, which who cares? Like, no, that didn't move at all. But I did buy a couple Brunsons. And the other one was KD. And at the time, the Suns were down 1-0. I said that if they went down 2-0, then KD would crater a little bit, and that'd be a great time to scoop them up because they could totally win 2 games at home. That's exactly what happened. But Phil, the Kevin Durant redemption has not moved one bit.
That's crazy.
It has. Oh, wait, hold on. Where is he? Yes, it's now down. It's $16 still. It moved by $1 ever since. I'm going to say right now, and I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not trying to pump it down, but I did buy 5 this morning. I bought 5 of the Kevin Durants at like $15, $16, $17. I think the market is behind on this. I think if you look at redemptions, let me just pull it up. Let me just pull up the redemption screen right now.
Before you do that, do you think people have started to lose interest?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But
that's always the case with playoffs, right?
But the market still popped off. The market still popped off. Like LeBron is sitting at $58 for his untouched redemption. And his first round redemption is sitting at 48. And then the next closest one is Tatum with both his moments at 39 and 37, and then Curry, Jokic, and so on. That to me, like this to me indicates that, well, first of all, on Top Shot, like the stars always do better than the not as great stars. So naturally, it doesn't matter if LeBron is down 2-0 in the series. I still think that he would be ahead of Jokic and ahead of Steph. But this also indicates to me that like the Top Shot market, whoever is interested in these redemptions, which I think there's a lot of interest. I think that second round the playoffs always kind of slow down second round conference finals because a lot of teams are out. You're waiting for the finals. You want to see who wins. But I do think that this to me is clear that like the Top Shot market is thinking that the finals will be between the Lakers and the Celtics. And that's not a bad bet, right? I think that that's pretty close along the lines of what Vegas is betting, but I think the Nuggets are still up there. But the fact to me that it's like at the top of the list here, you've got LeBron, Tatum, Steph, Jokic, and then you have to go all the way down past Jaylen Brown, Jimmy Butler, AD, Embiid, Jamal Murray, Derek White, the Lakers wild card to get to KD is kind of insane to me. Like that to me is like the market hasn't caught up, which is why I bought a bunch of these. Again, if the KD one doubles, I'm going to sell them. Okay. So people thinking I'm pumping these and then dumping them, that's exactly what's happening. But it's because I think they're going to go up. I'm telling you very clearly. I'm not trying to dump on you. I think that this is a good bet because I think like right now the Suns have the momentum. Again, like we're playing the long game here with these moments of trying to get whoever's going to win the championship. Like if the Suns make it out, beat the Nuggets in 6, and then they're going to play the Lakers, that's going to be a fantastic series. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Suns are favored in that series as well. Right. So I don't know. Because they'd have home court. They'd have home court as well against the Lakers. So anyways, I'm just kind of going out on a limb that it's the Suns were not a terrible team before they got KD. And KD is also one of those special players, especially on Top Shot, that it's like when there's pack drops and there's these star players in it, like KD's at the top with LeBron and Steph, right? Like those in terms of like the untouchable, absolute like holy grail of players. So I think that's what this is. So, right, so I'm going with
just to recap here.
Anybody who wants to, anybody who wants to buy one at $34 when I sell them, please do.
Here's the deal. 2 weeks ago, LG featured Jimmy Butler as being only $3 on the marketplace. Okay.
That was crazy.
And Jimmy Butler
is 23 now.
Instantly rose to like $12 and now at 23. Okay. That was LG's non-financial advice, he calls it. Okay. Last week, I asked him to pick someone else. I asked LG to pick this week's Jimmy Butler. And LG went through the market and identified Joel Embiid as this week's Jimmy Butler. And what does Joel Embiid do? He went from, what was he at the time? It was like $9, $10.
He was 10. I got a few at 10. Yeah.
Joel Embiid went from $10, and then they won game 1 of the series, which he didn't even play in.
Yeah.
And Embiid,
no, they had already lost. They'd already won game 1 of the series, I think, at that point.
They had?
They had, but he was out. So I think people still thought, despite they won the first game.
Sure?
I think so. Yeah. Let me double check the scores, but I think that they had already won because I don't think it's impossible for there to have been 4 games since last week.
You're right. In the NBA, they always give like 3 days before.
I think they'd already lost their first game, but people saw it as like a fluke. Like James Harden's not going to play like that every game. When Embiid comes back, they're going to suck, which was true. Oh no, you know what? They're about to play their first game.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They had not yet played the first game.
Exactly. It would make no sense otherwise.
They had not, but they were heavily underdog against the Celtics.
Yes. That's the reason it rose is that later after you told people on this podcast, which came out immediately after we recorded it, you told people that your Jimmy Butler of the week was Joel Embiid. So for anyone keeping track now, okay, because I keep telling LG, I'm looking for any moment where I can double my money, buy a bunch of them and just make some coin. Okay. I didn't even have to ask him this week. He gave us his prediction for what moment kind of skyrockets this time.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, but think about it.
But you're right though.
Think of any other set. Think of any other set that like go to like, let's go, I don't know, what's like an all-star set or something like that. Like even was KD an all-star this year? Of course he was. Yeah.
Rising Stars.
Okay. Marketplace doesn't work. Is that not Rising Stars? That's not, he's not in Rising Stars.
By the way, Rising Stars, like Series 3 is the first set that I ever complete. And I did it like a week ago. Not even joking. They're all like $2.
Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, KD does not have an all-star moment this year because he was injured.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, whatever. So, typically, whatever set that he's in that also features LeBron on like an even level, let's call it, where none of them's a reward or anything like that, or they're all rewards. Like I find the hierarchy on Top Shot usually goes like LeBron, KD, Steph, in terms of people that like who people want to buy it. So to me, it's like, the market is telling us that it's like they think LeBron's going to do well, and that also they want LeBron as a star player, which is totally fine. But the fact that the equivalent Kevin Durant moment sits at $16 right now, and LeBron's is 58, right? So more than a 3x to me is crazy. Like, doesn't make any sense considering the performance on the field. Like, there's no like the Suns. Nobody thinks that the Suns' performance in the last 2 games. Nobody thinks that that's a fluke. That like, oh, it's a matter of time before the Nuggets beat them, or that if they have to play the Warriors or the Lakers in the conference final, that they're an automatic out. Like, nobody thinks that, right? Like, everybody's like, no, the Suns have a pretty good chance. In fact, you could say in the playoffs right now that it's like most teams have a pretty good chance of winning. right? Like it's really hard to pick a favorite right now to win the whole thing because
Correct.
there's a lot of candidates still. So it's like the Suns are right up there. So anyways, that's the reasoning there. I don't think I need to say anymore.
What did LeBron start off at? Like, what was his lowest point?
When it opened, when everything opened, I think he was around like $35. Like, like low 30s. He was the highest one. Most of them, like most of the star players were in the 20s or 30s, including KD. And KD dropped, I think, when they lost the first 2 games to the Nuggets, but somehow hasn't bounced back, even though now you could argue that they're the favorites in that series. So anyways, yeah, people come at me for pump and dump. But listen, this is, we talk about the podcast. Phil wants opportunities where you can double your money. We're not talking doubling $1,000 here, $10,000 or anything like that. I just think there's inefficiencies in this redemptions market. And right now, this week, the only one that's really obvious to me is KD. Like last week, I picked Brunson, but he's down $2 more since. Like nobody cares about that series. So I think that that's what's going to happen.
It's unbelievable, right? How like the Knicks with that fan base and like the history of the team have like the least like sex appeal in these playoffs. Like nobody cares, right? They have good players, but they don't have players that you have any kid out there going to the playground and be like, yo, I'm Jalen Brunson, heads up, like, or yo, hey, I'm RJ Barrett. No, there's no kid saying that. Not even in New York.
I think it's mainly because of who they face on that road, right? It's like already against the Heat.
Well, the East is like that. Yeah, the East is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean the Heat, they're down already against the Heat, and then you'd have Sixers or Celtics. And I also think it's because I think it's also there's kind of a lack of star power for the Knicks.
Big time. Right? That's what I mean, though. No, there's no kids playing in the parks in New York saying, "Hey, I'm Jalen Brunson."
Despite them having a really good season and winning their first playoff round in 10 years or whatever it is, it's like at least last time they won a playoff round, they had Carmelo Anthony, right? And that was like, well, that's the guy, like. But now it's kind of like Brunson or Randall or Archie Barrett,
but that's exactly it. Really care. It's and that's why they got that early game the other day. They get like on weekends, they get like the 1 p.m. Eastern games. That used to be the Raptors slot. Every single playoff game the Raptors ever played, you knew it was going to be like around noon, and it was always going to be the one game like no one's going to watch. That's why you have to put at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's a quadruple header that day, and the Raptors, before the schedule came out, we're like, that's going to be the 12 o'clock game. They're not putting that later in the afternoon. They're not putting that in the evening. There is nobody going to the bar to watch the Toronto Raptors versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Let's just be honest, right? Or whoever, whoever they play, Sixers, whatever. So yeah,
exactly.
Man, but good times though. I mean, the NBA playoffs have lived up to the billing. Like I said, there's something every game. There's drama every game. There's people to criticize every game. So many ups and downs. Warriors are back. Oh my God, worst Warriors teams we've ever seen. Need more from this guy, need more from that guy. Clay vanished again, things like that. It's the beauty of the NBA, right? Like every game is different. Tomorrow night, who knows? Nuggets, Suns, you said it, LG, right? Who knows what the hell happens now?
And you got to savor it too. You got to savor it right now where there's 2 games on every night this week. Right. And that's just awesome.
I already missed the 4 games a night, man, for NHL and NBA.
Of course. Yeah. Chaos the first round. But even now, it's like, between Tuesday and Wednesday, you have 4 game 4s, and every series might be tied 2-2 going into those. Like, that's awesome. Right. Like, that's super fun. And then the games, you have 2. Yeah, exactly. You're 4 game 5s. Sorry, is what I mean. And then Thursday, Friday, you'd have 4 game 6s, and then Sunday. I think now they got into the habit of putting most game 7s on the same day. Although it looks like if the Heat Knicks got there, it'd be the Monday. But anyway, such is life. Yeah, very fun. Lots of fun for everybody, honestly, except for Maple Leafs fans. Everybody's having a great time. Every other sports thing is having a great time. Except, you know what? You know who's not having a great time, Phil? The Top Shot market. Phil, do you think Top Shot's dead? Can I ask you straight up? Is Top Shot dead?
Well, it's not dead to me. I don't know what other people are doing.
Like, Okay.
I don't follow what other people are doing. Like sometimes when I'm really furious about something, I'll go in the Top Shot Discord, drop a bomb, and leave. Like I don't look at the replies, nothing. I just go in there, say some stupid shit. Like last time watching the game, I'm sitting here. I'm like, I'm tired. I just drove tons of hours to get home, and I just want to. The Leafs just lost. Okay, I was already pissed. I was already wired up. I just want to see the end of a good basketball game. I just want this ending to be good. So it's tied like 77 all, Nuggets and Suns. And then the Nuggets just like fell off. The rest of the game, they didn't even come close. No comebacks. It kept being down like 5, 6, 7, 8. You'd think they pull a comeback right at the end. Maybe they never came close. It was never close after that. It was done. See you later. So I went on the Top Shot Discord and I just destroyed the Nuggets. And I knew someone would probably have a problem with it, but nope, I don't go back in there. I ignore it. I don't even know if anyone answered it. It looked like there was activity in there. I just think LG, it's the same people, I guess, kind of like myself, that go in there and do their thing. I don't think there's more outside of that. And I think now that you've lost the regular season where all the teams and their captains and their fans are involved, you probably lost a lot of activity with that because
well, they cut the captain's budget as well.
That's right. That
it's
is
not just that, is they wait until the end of the
Yep.
season and they cut it. The rumors are those captains got like 10 grand a month, which is a lot. That's
Holy
a lot.
shit. I
Like
didn't
if
know it
you're
was
giving
10 grand a
100,
month.
I think that's what I heard. Again, unconfirmed. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So sorry. But I heard it's something like that, which is like if you gave me 120 grand a month to organize like a sports team's fan club, or 120 grand a year, that's a lot of money. I'd rent like a fan space where we all hang out and watch every game. Like I'd start my own bar. I'd rent one of those like artist spaces you can get in some cities, and then just like fill a fridge with beer, and then just watch every game there, and like start a fan club house so that you can only get and pay somebody to hack an integration where you have to scan some kind of key that shows you have moments to get in, something like that. That's if you gave me that big of a budget, that's what I do. I don't know if I'd just buy tickets for people to go to games, but I think that's what they were instructed to do. But still, that to me, I've always said that like the fan club thing, like the captains, all that stuff, that's fantastic for community building, but that is so far outside of what the product is, right? Like that's a great like loyalty reward, but the product is not, hey, collect these moments and you get tickets to games. Like if that's what the product is, that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like that is not a scalable product. That's not something that most people, they're like, okay, I'll buy sports cards that are online that I can find on YouTube, and then sometimes I get tickets to games, but if I don't live in that city, I can't go. No, that's not a product. You know what I mean? Like that was never the product. For a lot of people, they said that's the best part, and it has been while the product's trying to figure itself out, but that is not the product. The main reason I asked Phil is, we put up some fun, engaging content and questions on Twitter sometimes, and nothing gets more engagement than when we say things like, hey, what's wrong with Top Shot, everybody? And people freaking snap. If you follow us on
before
Twitter,
I can even see it, there's like 45 replies on those things. I've like two.
If you guys follow us on Twitter, you know that our Twitter strategy is we try and engage with the community. So we say like, hey, do you remember these fun video games? Like dump 2 video games, burn 1, whatever. We ask, a lot of fun, engaging stuff, and often about sports NFTs. And last week I put one up that was like, you get to fix Top Shot with only 5 words. What are they? And it had 150 replies, like more than 3 or 4 times anything we ever get. And yeah, some of them were jokes, but even the fact that we got that many, shows you that there's still a lot of passion for this to be fixed. There's a lot of people still who have an opinion, people that probably haven't touched the platform in a long time. There's some sarcastic stuff as well. People saying like, hey, can I take my money out? Like just jokes from things that didn't work 2 years ago. But at the same time, like the fact that despite everything else we cover, Phil, all the other stuff going on, all the other kind of exciting stuff going on in sports NFTs, that still hits that nerve. I'm not really sure what to make of that, right? Because it shows that people do want it to succeed, but at the same time that I think if you read through the comments, a lot of people really don't think it can succeed in its current format.
But they're still talking about it. And
they're still talking, but they want it to do well. They want it to do well. I think that's like, if I had to translate this kind of like, amalgamate all the sentiment into like a report, a little market research report, I would say that deep down inside, a lot of people secretly want it to do well, but on the surface, they really don't think it's going to with the current formula. And I feel like that's so obvious to say, but that's a good way to look at it. And if you ask questions like, is Top Shot dead? I would say that in its current format, like, yeah, it is. Like the market cap is $192 million. It was at 250 for most of the season. It was at 200 when the playoffs started. Now it's dipping. It's probably going to dip some more when this new supply comes out. More legendaries, more metallic golds, the same stuff we've had for a couple of years. I think, they were going into series 4 saying like, this is the big one, right? Like this is a big turnaround season. Didn't happen. And now they're promising more stuff for the offseason. That'll be, similar promises. Like this will be a new, unique thing, but who knows? I don't know. Like, it always be the big question. What's going to work to attract new users? And I don't think that there's like these arbitrary deadlines of like, this is it. This is the series where they're going to do it or not, sink or swim. It's like, no, they already sank. Now they need to keep trying different shit until something works. You know what I mean? Redemptions is good. I think Redemptions is good. I don't know if you can draw that kind of excitement for the regular season, but I thought it was pretty good. It's doing pretty well.
It is good. I enjoyed it. I still enjoy myself. Now, LG, I already see the headlines coming out on Twitter this week that LG is participating in an NBA Top Shot pump and dump, but at the same time proclaims that NBA Top Shot is dead, right? You sound like our good friend Jay Metz, who I was on a recent show with, and he announced his candidacy for the president of the Nine Lives Lounge. Is that what it's called?
Nine Lives Lounge. Yeah, sorry, one of the clubs. Yeah.
He announced that he was going to be running for president. So I said, listen, pal.
Running for president.
If that's the case, you need to give us your campaign right now. And he went off the rails about all sorts of stuff. And then about 5 minutes later, completely unrelated, he said that Top Shot is complete garbage. Okay. I don't know where this came from, but he came out of nowhere and proclaimed that Top Shot was garbage and he doesn't like it. And I'm like, hold on a second. So that would be like the equivalent of running for, let's say, Prime Minister of Canada, but saying this country fucking sucks. Okay. Vote for me, please.
It's pretty similar. I would say that, I wouldn't say that. I don't think the Top Shot is terrible. I think maybe I said this last week or the week before. It's like, I think there's a lot of ingredients there that need to be put together in a different way. Let's say that. Like, this is an advanced product. The marketplace, to me, is still the best experience marketplace-wise you can have anywhere in Web3.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Product is beautiful. They have a massive foundation. They have an obscene amount of money. They have a fantastic IP across all of Dapper and all that kind of stuff. I just think the current business model that they're running with, which is sell infinite amounts of packs and where the value keeps going down, but they were born in an environment of speculative value. I don't think that they're not baking the cake properly together. It's like they've got the right eggs, the right butter, the right flour, the right chocolate chips, all that kind of stuff, or whatever you need to make cake. But they're not. What they're baking is the same thing over and over. And everybody, every time they bake it, is like, we don't want this anymore. And there's fewer and fewer people lining up for that cake every single time. And they're like, cool. Why don't we just do the same one again and we'll put different sprinkles on it this time? And it's like, no, you need to change the formula. Like, go to the store, don't even bake the fucking cake, bake something different, man. Make some freaking croissants or something. Like, but you have all the elements. They're a gross, but Dapper is a grocery store of elements. They have every single piece you could ever want to build a successful NFT franchise. They have every single piece of it, but somehow they're not able to I don't think they either don't have the courage or the mandate, or they're not allowed to try and really reinvent it a little bit. So I'd say that in this current format of the same cake they're trying to build, like, it's kind of dead. The only thing that's really caught my attention in the last little while, Phil, is redemptions, and that's significantly different than other stuff they've done. These NFTs evolve. They're mint passes. That's fun. We get to sit here on the podcast. I get to give my predictions. Sometimes I'm right. Sometimes I'm wrong. But nobody cares about predictions of like, oh, who do you think the next metallic golds are going to be? Who do you think is going to be the reward? Like,
that ship has sailed.
About that
ship has sailed
at all.
There used to be speculation and excitement over that, but that's
when players had one moment, that's what was exciting. But now every player has 30 moments. Like, who cares if they have a new metallic?
Like, are you excited for next year's Spotlight series again? Right? Like,
no, I was never excited for this year.
6 guys.
No, I was never excited for this year's Spotlight series.
Hey, shut up.
Yeah, I know, it's your favorite. I know. Are you doing the challenge?
Hold on. Some breaking news here. Breaking news.
Oh boy, here we go.
Off the wire. Here we go.
Nope.
The NBA has announced. Are you ready for this? The NBA has announced that Nikola Jokic will not be suspended for Game 5 of the series. Instead, he will be fined $25,000. That's it.
Oh, it's so harsh. What's he going to do without that $25,000?
I mean, we could go on all day about this, but let's be honest. I know there's no history with Jokic. There's history with Jokic's brothers, actually. You know what, though? When I saw that happen, I'm like, oh, shit. If his brothers are in the crowd and they don't know who this guy is, they're coming down and they're going to whoop his ass. Because his brothers have fought with fans before, okay? And if they were in attendance and saw him shoving someone or some sort, these guys don't hesitate. They go right down there and they whoop ass. I'm like, man, this owner's in trouble. These guys. But anyways, they weren't there. But I feel like if it was anyone else, and the series wasn't tied 2-2, that'd be a different story. Because again, what are you finding him for? Are you finding him for contact with a fan? Because if so, that's a suspension. I don't care what you say. There's been suspensions for that before. I don't have the history. I can't say that's facts. I don't have it in front of me. But I know for a fact in my mind that guys have been suspended for even touching a fan a little bit. Especially when the fan doesn't get the boot. Where that means the referees looked at it and deemed that the player was in the wrong. Not
I'm not going to kick the owner out. They can't kick the owner out.
But he is still a fan.
It'd be hilarious. Yeah, it'd be hilarious if they did. But
he doesn't own the league. Okay, he owns the team.
Absolutely. No, you're right. Yeah,
He has to play by the rules. He can't do what he wants. But for me, I'm like, you know what? It has to be consistent when it comes to suspensions. It's not pick and choose. If he did something that fucking stupid that it cost him, a game 5. But at the end of the day, I don't feel it's a suspension. I'm just going based on what the rules of the NBA and the precedent has been for shoving the fans. And he shoved the fan. He clearly shoved him. I mean, he keeps saying he put his hands on me first, as in he shoved him. He didn't. The fan did nothing. The owner did nothing. He put his hand on his back, you said, or on his ass, or whatever the hell it was. Like, what the hell? I need to see that. I'm going to go back.
I don't agree. He had the ball, and Jokic went to take it from him, and he didn't give it to him. And I think that it's like in any situation, the fans ends up with the basketball sometimes, and it's like the basketball player is like, "Hey, let me take that from you because I'm the basketball player and you're not." And he was like, no, like a freaking 2-year-old. You know what I mean? Like I thought that it's like, hey, no, you're being difficult.
Being difficult, but ball in the crowd is still ball in the crowd, okay? And Jokic has no business going in the crowd. This is not soccer where the clock is running and you need the ball back right away. Because in soccer, you see it all the time. Guys like, give me the ball, and guy launches it down the thing, right? Or fans like throw it up the stands, and they're like, no, right? It's a stop time. There's no rush to get the ball back. Like whatever, let the ref get the ball back. And Jokic has been emotional before, man. He's been involved in some of these things, and he can be involved in activities like that. But I think I expected this. I didn't expect him to be suspended. It would have caused outrage, and it really would have swung the entire series in the direction of the Suns, like completely, to the point where no chance the Nuggets win that game, I think, without him.
No.
Right?
No.
So the NBA has a real problem with that. It's not like in the NHL. You can remove a star player and you still have 3 other lines and guys who can get the job done. But in the NBA, in a star-driven league like that, there's no chance that tomorrow's primetime game on TV does not feature Nikola Jokic, right?
No, especially when it's questionable like that. Like, especially when it's like, there's a lot of opinions. You could easily have an opinion either side. That there's kind of like there's no general consensus that it's like Jokic was out of line going to the crowd and pushing him like that. It's kind of questionable. It's not like he went deep in the, there's too many.
It's not a Ron Artest here. Yeah. He didn't hunt.
No, exactly. It's not obvious enough either direction for it to merit a suspension, especially for such a vital game. So, but it'll be fun when Jokic goes back to Phoenix. Game 6 will be fun. Either way.
I think so. And
one of the teams is going to be on the brink. Yeah.
That owner shouldn't have said he doesn't want him suspended. He should have been like, jerk pushed me, suspended.
Yeah. He should have said, I have a bruise. I need to go to counseling.
I think he instantly regretted being part of that. I bet you in his mind, after it happened, he's like, oh my God, what did I just do? Like, I want nothing to do with this public attention. Because people don't even know who I am to begin with. I don't want people to be going crazy that this owner was involved. And, it's not the spot you want to be in. I'm sure he regretted the whole thing right after.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially as a new owner in the league where you are probably trying to make a good impression with the other owners who approved you as an owner. And you don't want to start setting this weird precedent that it's like the owner of the team can sit in the front row and can like embellish getting like pushed a little bit by a player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the NBA at all wants, like, sure, Mark Cuban is in the third row and he's always complaining. Sure, but I think that is the maximum level that the NBA is comfortable with, and even probably that they hate. And you don't see a single other team owner doing anything like that ever, except for Steve Ballmer. But he's hilarious. I love that. So you see like 2 out of 30 owners being prominent at the games. Maybe a few more. Jeannie Buss is there pretty often. So there's a few owners here and there, but they're not like but the ball is also never landed in Cuban's hands, and a player from the other team comes or anything like that. But Cuban is also really friendly.
Been on the court, man.
But Cuban's friendly with most players. You know what I mean? Like, he's friendly. He's always been there. The players know him, kind of thing. Whereas this guy doesn't know Jokic, right? Like, nobody knows you, right? So
what does he do? That owner? Do you know? Like, what's his job, or what does he own?
What did he?
He's a billionaire. Like, what's his background? I don't even know. I'd never heard of this guy before. Must be something pretty big.
I remember reading about it when he took over. Let's take a look. Yeah, it was. He had started a company, or no, his dad was the CEO of a company called United Wholesale Mortgage. So pretty much just real estate, tons of real estate running in the family. Yeah,
nice. Really quick, here's a hot hitter for you.
Yeah,
who will be the next owner of the Ottawa Senators in the NHL? Will it be the group?
Yeah, let's talk NHL actually.
Will it be the group led by Ryan Reynolds, who is currently owning a professional soccer team that is doing everything and more that Wagme United was hoping to do. Okay.
Oh,
And by the way, they're Crawley, whatever they're called.
yeah, Crawley Town.
They
yeah.
lost today, and I think they're on the verge of relegation. They're like
That's
1
right.
point
Yeah.
out of relegation. I don't know. So the options are Ryan Reynolds led group. Okay.
Mhm.
Snoop Dogg led group. That's also in the mix now.
Yeah.
And now The Weeknd,
The
famous
Weeknd is
Canadian pop star,
Yeah.
has thrown his name into the mix. They're not together. They're all separate groups.
They're all
And they've all
groups.
combined with, billionaires or whoever it is to make this happen. But they have to be approved by the league, by the other owners. And Snoop Dogg, I mean, if you don't know Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, it's like
It
not a
is the
city,
capital of Canada. It is
the
the capital
capital
of the country.
but it is not a city that when you're visiting Canada, you're like, I have to go to Ottawa unless you want to go sightseeing.
There's no reason to go there.
right?
It looks
There's
like
no
a
reason
lot
to
of
go there.
other. It's
No
a middle
offense
of
to
the
anyone who
line.
lives in Ottawa.
No, but it's a middle
just-
of the line Canadian city. Most Canadian cities are just train stops from the past. Okay, people have to understand that geography of Canada. If you look at it, where the major cities are, they're just on one railroad that goes the whole way east to west. Okay, and the
No offense,
the
Dad.
old cities on the
No,
east
no
coast, like Toronto, Montreal, Quebec City, those are just ports. Same with the U.S. Sorry to break it to you, but most of your cities on either coast are just ports, and the rest are just train stops. But at least American cities have grown and become more. Canadian cities haven't really. A lot of them, offense meant to a lot of middle of the line Canadian cities. Places like Regina, which maybe you're hearing about that place for the first time today. Calgary, Edmonton, Winnipeg, Ottawa. Basically, these are places that have a population of about 1 million people and have a small, cute little downtown. And the rest is just kind of like a suburb, and then you drive another 30 minutes and you're out of the city. And that's like how most Canadians kind of live, right? And it's nice. It's a nice existence, nice in the spring and the summer, horrific in the winter, -40, whatever it is. So anyways, and they decided to put a team in Ottawa like 30 years ago called the Senators in the nation's capital, where Justin Trudeau lives.
Okay, but hold on. You're missing a very key part of this. Their arena is not even in the downtown core.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Their arena is like 30 minutes outside of Ottawa in the middle
further
of like farmers' fields.
It's so far.
You can't get there by transit. You can't get, I mean, you gotta drive there or take a bus or whatever the hell it is. You just can't get there. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. It's probably the most remote arena in the NHL right now. Out of all the arenas, it has to be the most remote. I know the Florida Panthers one is way outside of Miami. I've been there. But that part of Florida is still popping. Like there's a lot going on there, right? It's still lots of life.
Yeah.
The Ottawa Senators play in Canada, Ontario. There's nothing going on there. It's farms. If you stood on the roof of their arena, you would only see like the plains. That's it. Flats and farms and highway. And that's it. So I'm sitting here like, Snoop Dogg, is he really part of this ownership group and be in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada all the time? Right. And he was on TV the other day with Stephen A. Smith. Funniest combination. Okay. I've really grown to like Stephen A. Smith. I hated him before, but he makes me laugh so much. He's so outrageous, but in a funny way. He's not like that other clown. Who's the other clown there? Forgot his name. Dude with the stupid hair. I forgot his name. It always is it Skip Bayless? I don't know. One of those.
Oh yeah.
Whatever the hell his name is. He's always saying stupid shit just to say stupid shit. Stephen A. says stupid shit, but it's freaking hilarious. Anyways, they were on together. And the host asked them, because Stephen A is a massive NHL fan, huge. And he's a massive NBA fan, both. They said, which playoffs have been better? And they both kind of like, oh shit, what do we say? Like Stephen A is like, my NBA fans are going to kill me, but I love the NHL. And it's probably, so Stephen A said the NHL has been better in the playoffs. And Snoop Dogg said the NHL has been better. So they were laughing, and probably ESPN's faithful viewers were like, "Oh, screw these guys! NHL sucks." What do you mean? But then Snoop Dogg admitted to only saying it in case other owners were watching, and because he wants to own a team. So, but for me, it's the weirdest combination. Like, what's Snoop doing? What does he want to do in Ottawa, man? Like, right? I mean, I get wanting to own a team, but I just find it funny that all these celebrities are lining up to buy a team that probably nobody else wants to own when it comes to like big names. Do you know what I mean? Like you wouldn't be able to do that in any other city, like in LA.
Here's the real reason why, though, is that the NHL is currently seen as one of the most undervalued sports leagues in terms of franchises. And sports, and the cost of an NHL franchise obviously has gone up a lot in the last 10 to 15 years, like every other sport. But all sports franchises sports has now become real big business, right? And even people compare like the sale of the Phoenix Suns to the sale of the Warriors and everything else from like the last 10 or 15 years. And it's like a 10x or something like that. Like it's berserk the average cost of a team, which used to be, NBA used to be 300-400 million, and now it's 4 billion, right? So that is for a lot of different reasons, mainly because sports is still a fantastic way to make money. And sports TV rights are going up only, and it's remaining a really valuable form of IP. That's why that's why you've seen kind of the expansion of the MLS, and the NHL, from what I've read, is still seen as a highly undervalued league in terms of the franchises, based on how many cities they have, the depth of tradition. Everybody knows the NHL, everybody knows hockey, and that there's a general belief maybe that the NHL still has not really learned to fully monetize itself, or to properly market itself. And that as a result, franchises, obviously not the Maple Leafs, because they're on such a different level of value. But if you look at the bottom tier of NHL franchise valuations, a lot of them are still in kind of like, the $400 to $500 million range. And that's where, and I don't know, what are the bids? Do we know what the bids are for the Senators?
I don't know what the bids are. They haven't discussed the financials, but you're right though. I'm looking at Seattle. Look what Seattle's doing right now. Like that market is I was watching the game last night. I'm like, these new teams and franchises are bringing into the league. The atmosphere at these games, like go to a Vegas Golden Knights game. That should be the goal of anyone who ever goes.
People want to go. People want to go if the team's good.
They've turned these things into theatrical productions with a good product on the ice. Where like Seattle, I'm like, is this Seattle or Vegas? These fans are losing it. There's laser beams everywhere. There's smoke everywhere. We don't have that shit in Toronto. This is more of a traditional hockey market where the players come on the ice, you sing the anthem, and that's enough to get the fans going. But these new markets are really making it appealing for fans. I have never, through the space of NFTs and crypto, I have never met so many Americans who enjoy hockey. They've reached out to me. They understand that we enjoy hockey. And I've had deep conversations about hockey with so many people in this community, which is a bit shocking, because to me, I didn't think Americans care that much. But even when we referenced last week, LG, that nobody in the United States wants to watch the Edmonton Oilers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs in a Stanley Cup Finals, we actually got some DMs saying, what are you talking about? No, we would love to see that. We want to see the best players on the ice make it to the finals. And Connor McDavid is one of the best players. Austin Matthews, also one of the best players in the league. We'd love to see that matchup, right? So I can see where Snoop's coming from. If anything's undervalued and he has a chance to throw his name into the ownership game, it won't be in the NBA. It won't be in the NFL. There's no shot of that, right? And won't be MLB. And the NHL is probably a really good place, especially a place like Ottawa, which if I gave a map to anyone in this world and told them to show me where Ottawa, Ontario, Canada is, there's a 0% chance they'd come within even a province of showing us where that is, right? So I like it.
So here we go. Here's kind of like the chart from Sportico that came out, I think, just a couple months ago at the end of 2022 of team valuations. Obviously, the Maple Leafs are first. And then you got Rangers, Montreal Canadiens, Blackhawks, Bruins, and all of them in like the $1 billion range. But then all the way at the end, you got Phoenix, the Panthers, Columbus, Carolina, Buffalo, Ottawa, all of them sitting around. Let's see here what their valuation is. So valuation for Ottawa is 655 from Sportico. Yeah, so the team is valued at 635, and then like their business and real estate is valued around 20 million. And their revenue last year was dead last in the league, and it was 134 million. So that's not bad, right?
That'll change. That'll change.
Yeah. Well, that's it, right? So again, based on the belief that, I think the NHL is people still see the NHL as an up and coming league and something that has proven that it can be prime time for a lot of people, right? So here's the full chart. So Ottawa valued at 655 million. So the bid's probably coming in over that, and probably going to set a new standard for the valuation of NHL teams. But yeah, that's what you have.
Yeah, adding the name like Snoop, but Ryan Reynolds to me would be more of a logical choice, just because he's not. Is he Ontario or BC? I think he's BC.
He's from BC. He's from Vancouver. Yeah.
Well, he's from Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
I could see
he's Canadian, and also he already, I don't know if they would be able to turn the Senators around in terms of like bring them back to being they've never won a Stanley Cup, so I don't know if they could be able to do that, but he has success running other businesses. And Snoop Dogg has more like ventures and like partnerships than he does actually like owning and almost operating companies. Whereas like Ryan Reynolds is very recently like a successful sports owner. So I think that naturally, if it's up to, you know, the Eugene Melnick estate, who's I guess going to be picking who the bidder is, and the NHL and the group of owners, I think it'd make a lot more sense to go with the Ryan Reynolds group. But again, I don't know enough about each group's like group of investors. Like I don't know who else is involved,
They're all connected
right?
to these billionaires.
Yeah,
these,
it's not
high
it's,
ranking.
to think about it as like, well, the NHL team of or the NHL owners are going to pick between Snoop Dogg, The Weeknd, and Ryan Reynolds is probably the wrong way to look at it. But I would say in terms of like, hey, you know, in terms of using the celebrity card, and which one of those is a person who has shown recently that they can be very successful at running a sports team and also making that sports team exciting. I think that that's the thing that people don't realize that Reynolds and the guy from It's Always Sunny did, is that like they leverage social media to make like their takeover of that team like super fun. Right. So I think that if you're the NHL and you're the group of owners, that's also what I'm looking at, that it's like, hey, if you can find a way to make like probably the most obscure of the 7 Canadian teams in the smallest city, if you can find a way to make that sexy and exciting for people all over the world, then that's probably the group you go with.
No,
you
I
know,
agree.
I think that makes the most sense.
Okay. I know you hate when I completely derail the show, but
hey, you're the one who needs to leave soon, man.
Okay,
this
but
is
no,
totally up to you. You're on your own time here.
I'm okay. Yeah. I'm okay. We're good. Here's what needs to happen. Okay, I've been wanting to bring this up for a couple of weeks, and I have to bring it up because I'm closing the book on the Toronto Maple Leafs. By this time next week,
they'll
be gonzo. We're not going to talk about them because there'll be nothing else to talk about.
I love that you're making this prediction, even though your prediction last week was so wrong. I love it. Okay.
Hey, it could be a little reverse psychology, right? But I'm not doing that. I'm dead serious. They'll be gone. So by this time next week, they'll be gone. And I want to go back to a moment that happened earlier this season, because I've been personally kicking out members of the fan base for weeks now. Okay, when I see people doing stuff I don't like, I'm like, you're out of here. You're a fake Leaf fan. Get your sorry ass out of here. We don't need people like you. Okay, the ones defending the coach right now, stuff like that, that's unacceptable. You're not a real fan if you're defending the coach. About halfway through the Leaf season, okay, a certain very famous celebrity went to a Leafs game and was given the microphone at the Leafs game to get the crowd pumped up. Okay. If you've been a Toronto Maple Leafs fan for a long time, you know that the famous chant during games, right? You know how there's "Let's Go Raptors" and all that. You know, every team's got their own chant, right? Everyone knows that the chant that the crowd sings every single game is "Go Leafs, go," and then it goes "Go Leafs, go."
Yeah.
Go Leafs, go. This celebrity, who I'm about to name in a second here, got the microphone, got the crowd all hyped up, only to lead them into a chant of "Let's go Leafs." Okay. For those listening, it may not sound like much. They sound the same. Okay. But there is at no point in history of this team has anyone ever chanted.
No, it's never been the chant. Yeah.
Go Leafs. So Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who I have absolutely no idea why he was assigned to pump up the Leafs crowd for a regular season game, was given the microphone and started the "Let's go Leafs. Let's go Leafs." And the crowd followed him. When I saw that, I'm like, every single person in that arena who opened their filthy mouths saying whatever the hell he's saying, okay, you are not a fan. Get the hell out of the fan base right now. The video is, I play it all the time because I find it so funny. But did nobody bother telling? They must have told him it's "Go Leafs, go," and he forgot at the last second, so he probably thought of the Raptors.
I don't think so. I disagree. I don't think that he didn't know. I think what they did, you know what The Rock comes off as to me, and The Rock has been fun in all these movies and was fun as a wrestler, but The Rock is like so much of just like a generic dude at this point that it's like I feel like he's just like the overzealous, like annoying kind of football coach that is like so perfect and is so like, all right, everybody, we're gonna get up at 5 a.m. and do all these push-ups and shit. You know what I mean? Like he's just too extra and too like. It's just like it's too well-rounded. Like he's trying to be too perfect that it's like you're like, hey, Rock, so you're gonna come into this 100-year-old fan base and the chant is "Go Leafs, go," and he's like, okay, well, what we love to say is we love to say "Let's go Leafs," and that's like a really fun way of saying it, and people will be like, no, you should say "Go Leafs, go," and he'll be like, he'd be like, yeah, but don't worry, I do this all the time. And he just like will just ignore what people actually want and just do what he thinks makes the most sense. And it's super fucking annoying. That's kind of the impression I get of The Rock now. Like whenever I'm like, at the theater and there's trailers for something and it's like The Rock is in it, I'm like, no, I don't want to see him in another freaking.
It's too much.
You're right, it's too much, shit. Like it honestly, and I'm sorry, Rock, he can't act for shit. It doesn't matter. Like his best performances were when he was The Rock. He can't act.
If he's listening right now, man. How could you say that?
I would love for him to listen and come on and to do an acting competition with me.
And he is not the special guest
honestly,
we're waiting for.
I feel like I'd be the favorite because that guy cannot act. All he can do is just be himself in every single movie, and it's not an act. That's just who he is. It's the same thing. And it's like go watch The Rundown, which is his first movie as the lead, where he has to go chase down Stifler, who's the son of somebody else or something like that. And he doesn't say much and it's a great performance. Or go watch The Scorpion King, where he doesn't say a fucking word and he just fights people as like a Conan style. Those are his two best ever film performances. He shows up in Fast and Furious. I'm like, it's just like it's like he doesn't know where there's cameras. He's just being himself. And he has two expressions, like nice big smile and then angry frown. That's it. Like there's nothing else happens with him. Sorry. I don't know what we're talking about.
You know I'm not going to be satisfied.
I don't hate him. I don't have a problem with The Rock. I'm just saying that it's like anybody who's like, wow, I can't wait to see this movie that The Rock is in. I've never heard anybody say that ever.
You know I'm not going to let this go until you roll the tape. Please find me the video. You have to let our audience know how this. First of all, I'm going to while LG finds out, I'm going to recap real quick. The chant once again is "Go Leafs, go." Go Leafs, go. Go Leafs, go. And this Joker,
here we go.
Out of nowhere, just starts. I need to know the name of.
I like that we tried to not talk about the Leafs on the show, and we ended up just talking about the Leafs anyways. This is just a Maple Leafs podcast.
But this is a disgrace. I'm looking at everyone here chanting this. Tons of the people in the crowd chanting. It was ridiculous. Crank it up a bit. I can't hear. I don't know.
He's talking. You can't hear it?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear it.
It's so loud for me. Here he is. This is the Leafs game. For no reason.
Here we go. Let's go Leafs. Go Leafs. Let's go Leafs.
You could tell some are like, what? Look at the guy with the scarf. He's like, that. Oh, thanks.
Oh, man.
And speaking of chants, just so people know, the entire crowd at the Leafs game chanted "We want Florida" right before the Florida series.
Just so I know.
Everybody chanted "We want Florida."
That's a joke going around, man.
So, anyways, enough about. I've been wanting to bring that up.
Enough about The Rock. We were talking about Snoop Dogg buying a hockey team, and it turned into why we hate The Rock.
And you're right though. The Rock is probably the kind of guy like he was going to be at the game. And he hit up the Leafs being like, yo, I'll do this for you guys.
Yes.
And not them, not the other way around. They're probably like, oh, cool, Mr. Johnson. Here, cool. Have a suite.
No, The Rock is like when you're in high school and then he's the one guy who's like the class president, but also does every single thing else. Like he's the captain of the volleyball team. Like he's the main guy in the play. And it's just like all this stuff. And you're like, is there anybody else?
Yeah.
Is there anybody fucking else that we can have right now that just isn't the same old fucking guy?
He's the XFL owner too, don't forget.
He's best, honestly, when it comes to movies and stuff like that. He's best when he's like a stereotype, funny caricature of a guy. Like, you ever seen The Other Guys with Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell, where they're cops and then they take over for The Rock and Samuel Jackson, who are like these action hero guys and accidentally jump off a building. Like, he's great in that, where he's just an asshole for 5 minutes. Like, excellent performance. But you put him in like, oh, it's him and Jason Statham insulting each other for 2 hours. Like, God, that movie was terrible. Whatever that was, the Fast and Furious spinoff. Like, oh God, like I honestly, Vin Diesel has way more depth than The Rock, which is saying a lot.
Oh my
but Vin Diesel's like way funnier and way better. Like Vin Diesel is better at playing a fucking tree in Guardians of the Galaxy than The Rock is at being like any character in any movie. I go on about this for a long time.
Wow, LG with The Rock. This is wild. God.
If he was still a wrestler, let's meet the guy.
That's the other thing.
What's up, LG?
I forgot to say this last weekend, LG. My biggest regret in life was never being able. I guess I don't know if we became of age before the show stopped taping, but to never have been able to go to a Jerry Springer audience, because I think my 90% of my personality comes from that chaos of the Jerry Springer era. There's nothing I enjoyed more than when members of that crowd got into fights with people on the stage, when they would chant like "whore, whore, whore" and things like just
Whoa,
the sheer.
it's true. Yeah,
Sorry.
they did. That was
The sheer chaos of
Phil's
that
quoting
crowd.
a show. Okay, Phil's not saying that on its own. He's quoting a show.
I don't
get
talk
mad.
like that. But that was. I feel like if that show was still on right now, I'd be there almost every week, going bonkers in the crowd, like just crazy. It's too bad.
Maybe
man, honestly.
organize like a Jerry Springer memorial like reenactment club. Like, you know how people do like Civil War reenactments? Maybe what you could do is organize a society that rents a studio and does reenactments of famous Jerry Springer episodes.
Like Benny the Bull, like the
Yes,
blow up Benny
yes.
the Bull.
Or the one,
Versus
what's
Benny the Bull.
Yeah.
That's I think that's the video we've shown the most on this show.
Yeah,
too.
we watched that one
it's
the
gotta
most.
Be, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Several
the girl's dating. She has to tell the guy.
And even
that
the
she's
one I
seeing
sent you the
someone
other
else.
day.
Oh no, sorry, that she's dating Benny the Bull and she's dating the other Bulls mascot.
We can't really talk about the one I sent you the other day because in this day and age, it probably set off fireworks. But that moment there that I sent you the video of was also another classic. Where it's so bad, it's terrible acting, but like it's still so good, so good, man. And I'll always regret it. I just don't think there was ever an opportunity for me to go. I don't know when the show stopped, but it has to be years ago, right? Like this is ages ago. So,
yeah, it's been off the air for a while. It's been off the air, but Jerry Springer was recently doing like podcast appearances.
Oh, for sure.
Like that. So
yeah,
he wasn't
still active.
He wasn't like hidden away sick or anything like that. Like he was still pretty active. So,
but
he was
old.
old.
Would never fly this day and age. Like you can
never
have someone marrying a horse and shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
no, that was like 90s TV, like daytime TV at its peak, where it was like as raunchy as possible, but somehow everybody's like, this is totally fine, you know, like that. It was like just whatever goes, which was fantastic.
I have to break up with you. I have a husband now. It's a horse. The horse comes out or some shit. And the whole crowd's just like, oh
man. You know, one thing that
it.
made me laugh so hard, and it was one of the times in my life when I was like a teenager that I didn't know I could laugh that hard, was at the start of Austin Powers 2, when the guy, I think his name's like Michael McDonald, and he was an actor, he was on Mad TV. He played Stewart on Mad TV, if you remember that.
The guy that throws pickles on the wall in Billy Madison.
Yes.
Races. Yes.
No. That's
it is, man.
No,
it is.
Really?
The guy from Billy Madison that does pickle races on the wall, that's him. Trust me.
Whatever.
Okay. Anyways, keep going.
So anyways, but he works at like, you know, whatever, some kind of defense, FBI or some kind of like the Navy or something, and they're like monitoring the skies or whatever. And then when his boss walks away, he turns the channel to Jerry Springer. And it's the theme is my dad is evil and wants to take over the world, and it's Dr. Evil and Scotty, and then it's them, and then there's like the KKK guy and like a Nazi and like all these other people, all
the bad boys of the world,
and then it's like the, you know, Seth Green's like, he's like, yeah, well, you know, I've never known my dad, and now he just comes back and he wants me to be evil, and he's like, well, let's meet him. Dr. Evil comes out.
That's so good, man.
It's such a fantastic clip, and it was so like Jerry Springer was such a thing. It was like you didn't need to explain what that was to anybody. Like you watch that movie and everybody immediately knew what that show was. So it was pretty significant, right? It was the leader of all those shows, of the Sallys, the Ricky Lakes, the Montels, you know, all that stuff. Like that was the Jerry Springer was the top. Like that was the lead thing that always made things as outrageous as possible. And that's
I feel
a
like the
different
next time I see you, we need to actually throw in the tape, the VHS of like, you know, the greatest moments, because I feel like
greatest moments,
and we knew all those moments kind of by heart back then. But I feel like now the more I see them, I don't think, like you said, I don't think I've ever laughed that much. When I see these things, I'm like, I don't remember this, but this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. It is outrageous, right? And Maury was a kind of the next step after Jerry. It was more about like paternity and stuff. That was a whole different story.
Maury had a lot of different stuff, but what he became most known for was somebody there for their like 8th paternity test. Like that's what because the line of like, you are the father, you know, like that became the tagline.
But there was no fighting with the audience and stuff.
That took on a life of its own, like later. But so that became like another kind of key tagline kind of thing. But the idea of like going on national TV to reveal a secret, often that you're cheating, to your loved one, or that you're secretly not someone's parent or whatever, that was like a Jerry's, like, you know, the lead for all that was Jerry Springer. And all the other ones, and then there was a huge a huge bucket of shows that were in between Jerry Springer and Oprah, right? Because Oprah was like the nice, clean, like that's top TV, and then Ellen followed of like, oh, it's not trashy at all, like it's very, oh, you know. And then there was like Dr. Phil was like a weird alternate reality version of Oprah. But then there was all this stuff in between that was like, okay, it's like Oprah, Dr. Phil, but it's also like Jerry Springer. So it was somewhere in between, but was clearly meant to be you know, pretty low brow, which was perfect for us. Perfect for us right here. All right, Phil, I know you have to go soon, and I really don't want to keep you over. So I think everything else I want to talk about, we can actually just do as quick hits. Okay.
Sure. Let's do it.
So don't, Phil, we're going to talk about these things, but no like long 10-minute stories about something unrelated. Okay?
Bang answers.
Yeah, we're banging them. So NHL sweet, no new information. Last week we found out that the 7 players that are going to be in the rookie set of NHL Suite. Since then, not a single word. I tweeted at them saying it wasn't nearly enough information, got nothing back. So we're still waiting to see. Second round is almost over for some teams of the NHL, so they're missing their window of hype. However, today they did release a Q&A with Trevor Howe, who is the grandson of Gordie Howe, a very famous and well-known NHL player, where I thought it was going to be a Q&A about him discussing what the product is, but it was a Q&A, him talking about being in a hockey family. So still no updates.
It's a flex of like, look who we got. He doesn't know why he's here yet, but look who we got. Like seriously, this is our big name here. We got him. You know?
So he works at Sweet, and he's the NHL relations guy at Sweet. Right. So he's the bridge between them and the NHL, which is nice.
How long has he been there for? Is it from the beginning?
Over a year, yeah.
Okay, so I thought they just brought him in. I thought this was like
no. Since they had the NHL contracts, he's been there. They've been working on this for a year with him. An entire year to develop an NFT project. And also, side note for the NHL, anybody listening to this by the time you listen to it, Connor Bedard, who is the most exciting hockey prospect in a long time, we'll find out tonight. It's the NHL draft lottery. We'll find out which team he will be playing on next season, which is very significant for the next 10 years.
Can the Leafs forfeit like a few players and the rest of the playoffs to be put in that lottery? Like, I'd much prefer this kid than anybody else. This kid plays with actual heart. I've seen him play many times. But again, for those who don't understand what this is tonight, I would say it's the closest thing, maybe not to LeBron when he came into the league, but it's very close to a generational player a la Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
And that's maybe it.
Ovechkin wasn't as hyped, but it's turned out to be
wasn't
fantastic.
as hyped.
Or Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid, who's the current.
Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby, and Connor Bedard. He's about to be drafted, not tonight, but somebody's winning that sweepstakes. And if you look at the list of teams who have a chance, it's pretty pathetic. But I'm thinking, I know these things are rigged, LG. I'm convinced they're rigged. And I could see a team like Chicago or Anaheim getting him. Anaheim's been getting a ton of the top picks. It's California, right? You know, there'd be some huge battles with the Kings, with the Sharks, with all the teams out west. But Chicago, just having lost their 2 big star players, Jonathan Taves, Patrick Kane, you know, is there a chance that the Blackhawks are going to be garbage for the next 10 years? Probably not. If this thing is rigged, I see him going to Chicago. I see Chicago getting that #1 pick tonight. And now, I'll let you. I don't know what the question was because you said we'd go through these quickly, and they were already the first one turned into like a 5 minute.
Yeah, you already talked too much. Yeah.
So what was the question in relation to Sweet?
There's no question. We're just hitting them quickly.
Oh, okay.
That's it. There's no question. We don't need to open up a question. So that's it. We're just going through the bullet points of like there's like just other things that are happening right now. Okay. UFC Strike posted an update the other day from Rob, the new GM, and the Coles notes from that. There's nothing actionable just yet, but we do know that a game is coming from UFC Strike. But the update, amongst other things, it confirmed that there's only one more drop in Series 1, and Series 1 has been going for about a year now. He also said that they have hired a new senior director of marketing who is starting this week and is a big UFC fan, so that's good. And also that they have a deal to be advertising Strike during UFC pay-per-view broadcasts. And on the UFC social media, which I think they were doing before, kind of when we used to host the shows and stuff like that, but just reconfirming that they are going to be marketing the product in like native UFC places. But most importantly, the update did confirm that the product that they are transferring ownership and control of UFC Strike away from Dapper Labs over to the new company Concept Labs. Dapper is, and I'm quoting, Dapper is still involved and supportive, but not a part of the day-to-day operation of UFC Strike. Something that I think a lot of people kind of knew or had been hinted at, but basically confirming that Concept Labs, which is a video game company, now pretty much fully in control of UFC Strike, which to me is a positive. And not to say that Dapper is doing a bad job, but the idea that the platform is fully going to a gaming company to own and operate it, I think makes tons of sense. Phil doesn't care.
Listen, I don't know. For me, UFC.
You don't have to say anything. Phil, these are quick hits. You don't have to.
No. I'd like to say something. UFC Strike lost me a long time ago, and this kind of stuff doesn't really. I love the UFC, man, so much. You remember how excited I was for UFC Strike? It just doesn't draw my attention. I don't know what they're going to do that.
No, and it's not meant to draw your attention. I'm saying
I know.
That it's they're building a game. I think that's good. There's a game right now for NFL called NFL Rivals that a few people are talking about. It's an NFT game. It's a blockchain game.
You've always been all over that thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I hated their Discord early on because the one guy would ping it 18 times a day, so I left. But it's making some noise. You can buy the cards and then you can play them, and it's very much like a Madden Tecmo style game. So again, this doesn't mean, hey, price go up, go buy a bunch of UFC Strike. I'm just saying we're talking about the evolution of sports NFTs. This is good. And I think if you want to sell UFC fans or any sports fans on something like this, like having an actual game is probably a better bet than just their collectibles.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's their only option.
That's all I'm saying. So I think I was interesting to see the update. And that's a mute point. That's it. Next quick hit, Flovatar. Project built on Flow, very cute characters. Something we've had Luca on, who's the founder, I think in different ways on the show or on past Twitter Spaces. I'm a holder. They're very awesome looking like toys. They have struck a deal with two massive European newspapers, Marca, which is like the biggest, is like the ESPN of Spain, which has like a daily readership of 2.5 million people, and El Gazzetta, which is kind of the same thing in Italy. A combined annual readership of 100 million people. Basically, they're going to be releasing NFTs to the readers of that. So their Flovatar is going to be featured in those newspapers where you can go and build your little avatar, very similar to how Reddit has done with their NFTs, which to me, again, cool. No price go up here, no speculation, but the idea that they are taking a step into the sports world, that sports publications are down with it. Pretty cool. I think pretty good. Phil's asleep.
No, I'm good. Hey, you said, listen, if you let me comment on everything, trust me, they won't be hot takes. They were going to be going on.
That's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
I'll chime in if I have something.
This is like a news update.
I don't know all this.
This is just like a news update of
I don't even know half this stuff. So yeah.
But these things don't have to be 20-minute updates, is what I'm saying. It's like this is just like, hey, here's a quick hit of what's going on. Not really crypto, but Fortnite will be at the next Olympics. Did you hear about this today, Phil?
God, please don't tell me that. No.
Yes.
Why the hell
would
Fortnite?
The Olympics is going to be debuting an esports week.
Okay. All right. I'm okay with esports in general. Fortnite is not one of the sports that people watch the world championships anymore. They got to get with the times here. League of Legends, CSGO, stuff like that. I see it all over the place, and I actually follow because I used to play DFS all the time. And during the pandemic, all you could play was League of Legends, and I got super into it, right? But come on, let's be honest here. People say things like curling. Why is that in the Olympics? They're not athletes. Have you seen
so it's not
curlers?
Can I just clarify? It's not going to be during the same time as the Olympics.
Oh.
This summer, the Olympics, the IOC has announced that they are doing an Olympic esports week or something like that. So they're going to have a week where there's different video games, but it's the IOC doing it. So it's the IOC taking control of that. I don't know if they'll ever have it at the exact same time as the Olympics, but basically the IOC trying to take control of the esports world by creating a side event. Yeah, there's no, they wouldn't, there's no, I don't think they'd ever have Fortnite players walking in the opening ceremony. Who's going to be the flag bearer today? Is it going to be
someone who can barely hold it up?
Dr. Mustache or whatever the guy's name is?
Dr. Mustache. But that's the thing, though, is that
anyways, whatever.
Everyone always goes back to curling real quick. Everyone always goes back to curling. That's not a real sport. Look at these people. They're not athletes. Hello. Have you watched curling recently? These guys are freaking jacked, dude.
Yeah.
And there was a girl at work that she doesn't work at my place anymore, but she was from a small town. And every year she was heavy into curling. Yeah. She's young. Every year for her birthday or for Christmas, her mom would give her the Men of Curling calendar. And it was guys holding a rock in front of their junk, things like that. These guys. I was like, okay, I guess they are athletes. I mean, based on this calendar, most of these guys are pretty fit, right? But yeah, no, I don't think it would. I like the idea though. They're doing like an Olympic style thing separate from the actual Olympics. I'd be interesting. I like esports. So
I think it's a good business move, honestly, if they want to try and capture some of that. I don't think, I think it'd be silly to kind of have it at the Olympics. The other thing I'll say about the Olympics, as much as like, yes, you're right. When you're watching Olympics, you're like, half of these sports are so unrelatable. I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's like obscure sports rather than just only mainstream ones. So it's like, yeah, okay. Who is the best bobsledder in the world? Something I've never done, but it's fun. It's fun to watch once every 4 years. So I'm totally down with it.
Phil, who's the best huckle chucker in like snowboard? I'm like, huckle chuck? What the hell is that, man? Seriously, what the hell?
I agree with you. I don't even know what you're saying. Last one. This is more like a misplay of the day. Is this headline from last week that the Toronto Blue Jays are trying to track down a lucky fan who won the $2.9 million Amazing April 50-50 jackpot. So this probably happens at a lot of sports stadiums around the world, especially North America, where you're at the game and they're like, we're raising money for some kind of charity, buy a 50-50 ticket. So it's basically a lottery where half of it goes to charity, the other half goes to one and only one winner. And the Blue Jays have done this for a very long time. Every time you go to Toronto Blue Jays games, somebody won $2.5 million, and they are trying to find that person. And I like the image makes it look like it's the guy in the photo. That's what I like about the photos. Like this young kind of dude staring right at the camera. Yeah, he's just like, and it's like that's looking at this. I was like, is that the guy they're looking for? But then obviously it's not. It just makes it feel that way.
Oh man. Okay, so I have a lot to say about this. So I'll try and keep it really quick. I was actually tagged into this by somebody, but I had already seen the story. My favorite part of 50-50s when I'm at any sporting event is when they announce a number, you have over 1,000 jackasses who stand up and like celebrate. Every freaking sporting event, it's the same. Everybody wants to be it never fails. Same as the anthem. There's always that one guy, I'm looking at ULG, that lets rip of a scream at the pause in the national anthem. And it's usually LG when we go together.
It's been a while,
but 50-50s, it never fails. Everyone celebrates, okay? And everyone's looking at like, dude, how could you win? You win. I guarantee you right now, and this is super conspiracy theory style stuff, but I'm never wrong with these things. I can guarantee you right now, nobody won that jackpot. The Blue Jays do not want to give away $2.9 million. There's a 0% chance. And it is so easy for them to manipulate this and say, all right, these are the winning numbers, which nobody bought, but we don't know that. There's no logs of what people bought. Who the hell knows what they do, right? And they can just say, oh my God, somebody won. We're looking for you. But unfortunately, the way we do our contest, we have no way of tracking who bought it, when they bought it. We know they bought it between 6 and 7, and they bought $100 worth. That's all we can tell you. That's bullshit. I guarantee you nobody won. They're pretending to look for the person. And then the story has already faded into obscurity. There's been no updates as to if they found the person. And nobody's going to care in a couple of weeks. So this thing's gone. Okay.
It's a great way to get some press. Yeah.
It's bullshit.
It's a great way to get some press.
I lost full trust in these things when the Ontario Lottery Gaming Corp, whatever the hell they're called, the OLG, was busted like 10 years ago for rigging all sorts of lotteries. I was like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah. What prevents them from just saying, this, because they don't do the little balls coming out of the thing anymore. They're just like, yo, these numbers won. Did anybody win? No.
Yeah. So there's no fanfare.
I think it's BS. I'll leave it at that. I think there's no winner. I think there's nobody won that thing. They're just pretending to look for someone that doesn't exist. They're not giving 2.9 mil. Come on, man.
Let's go to the hot take of the week, Phil D. The hot take of the week. Did you see what the question was? Did you peek?
Yes. I did, and my phone got absolutely annihilated. Like, I don't charge my phone at work, and the battery went down like 30% today, man. People went crazy. I did see it, but I do trust that you'll pick the best ones, LG, and I'll be able to make an educated
decision. Not as many answers, so we can probably talk about most of them. So this week's hot take of the week was, who is the greatest Canadian celebrity of all time and why? Okay, so Phil, we're going to go through them, okay? Aubrey Graham, 100%, and it's a gif of Drake. Kind of a basic answer.
I just want to say again, if you're listening and you want to win these contests, the content is just as important, if not more important, than the actual answer. If your answer sucks, but your reasoning and your content is fucking outstanding, I'll probably pick that one. So, okay, keep going.
The larger than life living legend, I am Jericho, as if my PFP says any different. And if you disagree, you just made the list. So Chris Jericho, the wrestler.
I like Chris Jericho. Okay.
Next one, Terrence and Phillip from South Park. And Phil's already said he hates South Park, so we're just going to skip that one.
Obviously, you don't listen to the show.
Crack smoking Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, and it's a gif of him trying to pretend he's a quarterback and falling over backwards.
Okay, top 3 immediately. I didn't see that one today. That is top 3 answer right there.
Are there any other Canadian celebs known outside of Canada? And it's a gif of Celine Dion. No.
I have to throw something in real quick. Yesterday, someone I have on Facebook was wishing their son like a happy 26th birthday, and the picture that they attached was Celine Dion. And I'm like, I don't get it. Did they make a mistake and go on like their phone and pick the wrong picture?
Picked the wrong
and
person,
nobody was questioning it in the comments. I'm like,
there was
what? I'll send you a screenshot. It's actually the weirdest thing ever, and I don't even want to say anything.
Great.
Anyways, yeah, go on.
All right.
No.
Keanu Reeves, 1, name a bad movie he's in, and 2, more importantly, he is a kind soul who literally helps people on the street and takes time out of his day to listen. I've yet to hear a negative story about Keanu from people who have met him. Yes, Keanu Reeves is Canadian.
That's a very Canadian.
It's nice. You don't have to comment on each one, Phil. There's a lot. You don't have to comment on each one. Next one, Alex Trebek, Canadian legend. Did you know there was a host on Jeopardy before Trebek? People probably can't name them or even know this as Trebek was Jeopardy. Show has struggled since his death. Carried Olympic torch for 96 Atlanta Games. Philanthropic, a true legend. That's nice.
That's a very nice answer. And Alex Trebek is
nice
actually our dad's twin. So yeah,
it's true. Not even family, but yeah. Next one. Because really. Jagged Little Pill came out this summer going into my freshman year of an all-female college, this album was the tortured teenage female anthem. Also, who else could get rich off a song called Ironic that doesn't have any irony in it? And it's a gif of Alanis driving her car.
Has a ton of irony in it. I love that song. I heard it the other day on the radio. Okay. Mm-hmm. I like that one.
The greatest Canadian comedian ever, and it's a gif of John Candy.
John Candy, of course. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's great. Great choice. Yep.
Who doesn't know the great one? And it's just Wayne Gretzky.
No, don't like Gretzky. Next.
Little known fact, so little I didn't know until I Googled best Canadian people, and shortly after the Doucette brothers, The Rock was listed. He became a Canadian citizen back in 2009, and October 19th is officially Dwayne The Rock Johnson Day in Vancouver, because he played for the BC Lions. He played in the CFL.
He did. And his dad played as well. His dad is a very famous CFL player. Very good answer, actually. I like that. That's a good answer. But we canceled The Rock on this.
Yeah, we already. I didn't know. I don't have a problem with The Rock.
No, we canceled him. That video canceled him.
The GIF they used is him as The Rock from 30 years ago or 20 years ago. So, anyways, okay. Next one. It's just a GIF of Jim Carrey in Me, Myself, and Irene. It's good, but
I love Jim Carrey.
Best there is, best there was, best there ever will be. And it's a gif of Bret Hart, the wrestler. Mm-hmm. Seth Rogen for 3 reasons. 1, Pineapple Express. 2, Superbad. 3, and a Wiener's favorite, Sausage Party. And then it's a gif of Hulk Hogan dropping a mic.
I'm so confused after that one. Okay.
I don't know what's going on. Pam Anderson. Reason? We all know why. Also, if you own a Samsung Smart TV, there's a dedicated channel that plays Baywatch 24/7. I've seen this. I have a Roku, and there's a channel that always just plays Baywatch. And it's a gif of Pamela Anderson running. Next one. Do I really need to say anything? And it's a gif of Trish Stratus, the wrestler, showing off her bra and panties.
I love Trish Stratus. I used to be in love with her back in the day, but that's a good choice.
I'm just gonna skip a couple of these. I don't know. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's like him at the Met Gala or something.
Come on, man. Yeah, he's got some crazy outfits. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
He's honorary athlete, yes, but not celebrity.
Yeah. Next one. Once he buys the Ottawa Senators, and it's a gif of Ryan Reynolds.
Wow, people really we talked about stuff that people brought up. Today.
People. Okay. Come on, we all know you a believer deep down, the real Phil D, and it's a gif of Justin Bieber from his first ever music video.
That's top 3 right there, guaranteed.
Yeah.
I'm a true believer, absolutely. Where the hell has he been for the Leafs playoffs, man? We haven't seen his face one time.
Oh, I don't know.
Where's that guy?
Okay, second last one, or a few. A second last one. Such a toughie, but considering his entire life from McGill student to Star Trek to dodgeball, as well as his ridiculous singing and his Blue Origin flight at 90 years old, it has to be William Shatner.
God, I hated
Okay.
Star Trek.
And then another one from someone you know really well. We all know Phil started running so he could run tarps off with his favorite prime minister of all time. And it's a photo of Justin Trudeau running shirtless.
Okay. The last time you won a first mint contest, all hell broke loose. Okay. So there's a 0% chance, despite that being one of the best answers, and I freaking love it, that I'm picking that one. Okay. So that'll be the runner-up that doesn't get picked for the final three. Because that is one of my favorite things. The fact that our prime minister like sees groups of people running and he tries to catch up to them.
Yeah.
What a doofus, man. Honestly, look at this guy with his
just running through the streets of Ottawa, a place everybody just learned about, his shirt off, just tearing it up. Doesn't even look like that hot of a day either when he's doing this. All right, Phil, we've got that crack smoking Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, Dwayne The Rock Johnson Day in Vancouver, Belieber. Are there any others that you liked?
I liked a lot of them, but those are the ones that caught my attention. There was the one with the really long explanation. What was it? The nice one.
Keanu Reeves or Trebek?
Was it? Yeah, I like Trebek. I like Keanu, but they're not my final. Like, listen, you have to know me.
Jagged Little Pill.
I like Jagged Little Pill too. Yes, I like that one.
Yeah.
But that's more like sentimental stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it has to be between the Rob Ford one and what was the other one I said I picked?
The Rock one, and then Belieber.
Okay, because truly, I mean, Justin Bieber's, and this is I've been saying this for a while. I have no shame in it. Okay, has been one of my favorite Canadian artists for a long time. Or I love the Biebs, man. But Rob Ford, I have to say, I don't know if this person knows me. I don't even know who that is. Tiger Mentor. I don't know who that is. I didn't know until you showed it that's who said it. But Rob Ford, for me, if you have time in your life, please go on YouTube and look up Rob Ford moments. Okay. Rest in peace, Rob Ford. He went on Jimmy Kimmel, like completely bombed out of his mind and did some crazy shit. But he provided some of the best times I've ever had following politics and the news in general, because he was a true Donald Trump. I love Donald Trump, not for politics reasons, but for the entertainment value that he brings when he was the president of the United States. I'd be watching the news every night because of the outrageous shit that would happen, how much he triggered the media and all the chaos. Rob Ford had the same ability to the point where the media just was all over him for anything he did. He was caught smoking crack. His sisters have been shot in drug deals. He went to that Jamaican restaurant and started singing in patois.
It wasn't even a Jamaican restaurant. It was just a normal late night diner. I actually have
whatever.
That
I thought it was.
No.
Oh,
so this is amongst the Rob Ford stuff, like 10 years ago.
This is our mayor. This is
a clip of him like super wasted or something's wrong with him at like just some late night diner in Toronto, and he's like speaking in like Jamaican accent. Here it is.
Well, me and him, he got 5 months from him. And trying to tell me, bro, we're counter surveilling the guy. You know what I mean? He's hiding here. I'm hiding here. Oh, we don't. Fuck.
Man, what a time to be alive. Toronto 10 years ago.
The other one were in the House of Commons, like someone, not the House of Commons, but like whatever it's called for the city of Toronto, whatever. Some lady said something he didn't like, and he charged like an absolute psychopath and smashed into her, and she like died. Great times. He ended up dying pretty young. His brother, Doug, is now the premier of the province of Ontario, and I assume would be there to shake Snoop Dogg's hand if he ever becomes the owner of the Ottawa Senators. So
he was there at the Raptors parade. He was there at the Raptors victory parade.
That's right. So great answer. If you know me well, you know how much I loved Rob Ford and how much, for me, again, it's all about entertainment, and there was so much entertainment with him. The things he would say, even go look up his clips of some of the things he was caught saying on tape. And it's outrageous for a mayor to be saying these things and doing these things. But I always felt that he had such a passion for the city of Toronto that was kind of lost in the mix of all his chaos, right? I think he meant well in the end. But I love Rob Ford, and that's a great answer. I didn't expect anybody to put that. And people in the States My friends who live in the States and have nothing to do with Canada continuously ask me about the Rob Ford era. They know who he is. They don't even know who they know our prime minister.
Oh, that's like one of the most, of course.
But Rob Ford was known everywhere. He made world news with his antics, right? So great answer. Congratulations, Tiger Mentor. And
this is the only time Rob Ford could have ever possibly beat out Justin Bieber, Pamela Anderson, Keanu Reeves.
As long as Chris Sky is not the new mayor of Toronto, we will survive. But that guy's running. You know who that is? You know that psychopath?
No, I don't care. Guy? No. I don't care. This is such another random rant.
No. Listen, he's been to BC.
No, this isn't a Toronto podcast.
Issues. He's been to BC, where you live, and caused major issues in the last 3 years. Major issues. Okay. It's a guy with all the tattoos all over his neck and his face. He's the one that he ran the rampage during the pandemic of anti-vax. Just to let you know, he's running for the mayor of Toronto. His campaign is outrageous. And he probably has a chance to win with all the doofuses that live here. So that's all I want to say. But he will never get my support like Rob Ford did, no matter what.
Good. Good. Don't vote for him. All right, Phil. Great answers to hot take of the week.
Great answers.
Great work, everybody. And actually, one last thing, Phil. The candy plays of the week sold out today. They reduced it.
Why? Why are people talking about floors? What happened this week that everybody wants it?
They brought it down. They significantly reduced the pack count.
Ooh,
because they heard the community and they brought it down. So now it was only 200 and they sold out today. So pretty good. Pretty good.
I like that.
Pretty good.
I'll be there next week
on them to make that adjustment. Yeah, exactly. All right, Phil D. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everybody else, enjoy the rest of your week. And let's go Leafs. Let's go Leafs for game 4.
Leafs. Let's go Leafs.